In this video, I'm going to solve one sample paper, MCQ questions of a sample paper 4. Now, let's begin with the first question here. This first question I've already did in the first paper is the same question. So we'll now do the second one. So in the second question, what you can see here that this is from the chapter carbons compound, right? And I can see that this is regarding soft and hard water. That means it has to be from the soap and detergent. Now figure out these are the salts given and they are talking about the hardness of water. So first thing that I can see that what we know that calcium and magnesium, right? Calcium and magnesium ions, right? These are responsible for the hardness of the water. So I will just go for this first calcium, right? I can see for calcium chloride, it produces Cl minus Ca plus 2 ions. Therefore, it can cause hardness of water. And same with the magnesium. So magnesium is also responsible. It produces Mg2 plus ions. So this is also responsible for the hardness of water. I don't know which three with B or three with C, but these are. Now let's come to the next part. What we know that sodium chloride is highly soluble in water, right? It's soluble in water and therefore it should be soft water. And sodium sulfate is again soluble in water. So this is also does not contribute to the hardness. Now look into this. It could be 1 with 4. Okay. Right. So 1 with 2, right? One with A, sorry. 1 with A. So it comes out to be this only. Right. 1 1 with A, 2 with D, 3 with C, and 4 with B. So the correct option in this case is A. Now let's move to the next question. The second question, as we can see, is from chloralkali process, right? So what you know that in a chloralkali process, that is brine is what? Aqueous solution of sodium chloride, right? This is called aqueous solution of sodium chloride. This is brine. And when electricity is passed on it, what is produced? Hydrogen, chlorine gas, and sodium hydroxide. Now, what is the question here is that which of the following gases produced at anode and at cathode? Anode is what? The positive terminal of the battery. And you should know that at positive terminal, negative charge ions are produced. That means chloride ions will be produced, but we have to answer in terms of gas. So it should be chlorine gas here, right? Anode, at anode it is chlorine gas is produced and at cathode hydrogen. Well, this is already mentioned here, right? And this sodium hydroxide is produced near cathode. So why did they ask for? Produce at anode and cathode. Maybe in the exam this is not given. So we'll say that A is the correct option in this case. The next MCQ is from chapter called magnetic effect of electric current. So what does the question say? Is the strength of the magnet inside a current carrying solenoid is. So they are talking about the magnetic field produced inside the solenoid like this. So what do you know that inside this solenoid, if you look into the magnetic field lines, they are parallel, right? So parallel magnetic lines indicates uniform magnetic field, right? So uniform magnetic field means to say that the magnetic field at this or this or this or this will remain same. The strength as well as direction will remain same. So I can see that the correct option will be this. Same at all points means uniform magnetic field. The next question, it is from the chapter. That's what chapter? That's biology. Yeah, that's reproduction. It says vegetative propagation refers to the formation of new plant. Now, vegetative propagation is what? Like producing a new plant from the vegetative parts. Now, what is vegetative parts? Right, except for the fruit, flower, and seeds, right? Fruit, flower, and seeds are called the reproductive parts of the plant. Fruit, flower, and seeds are the reproductive parts of the plant. So, other than that, that means root, stem, and all, should be leaf including these are called vegetative parts, right? So when a plant is new plant is obtained from its vegetative parts, then it's called vegetative propagation. So as I said, it should not include fruit, flower, or seeds. So I will say discard the first option here, right? Because there is a flower, there is a fruit, there is a flower, and could be if there were seeds, then we could have removed that also. But as you can see here, as I said, the roots, leaves, and the stems are the vegetative parts of the flower. So that's why we say it's vegetative propagation. The next question, as you can see, a graph is given here, and this is the energy output and time taken. Well, it's easy to determine from here that the graph B, right, as I can see, B is producing, right, greater amount of energy than A. As for the graph, you can see that its slope is higher. Now, and there are asked to identify the type of respiration. I can see options are aerobic and anaerobic. So what you must be knowing here that the respiration that takes place in the presence of oxygen, that's called aerobic, and that produces greater amount of energy than the one which takes place in absence of oxygen or insufficient supply of oxygen. So we'll say that was the option in that case A, right? As you can see, aerobic is no. The order is what? The order is A and B, right? So A is anaerobic, fine. A is anaerobic and B is aerobic. So that's correct. Well, in the next question, what does it says? It says transpiration helps in. So transpiration is what? We know that transpiration is the process that is what we know. Transpiration is the loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant, but it has many advantage. And as I can see the options given here, the first one, it helps in the absorption of in the absorption. Did not say absorption of what? Well, fine. It helps in absorption of water from the root, in the upward movement of water minerals dissolve in it from the roots to the leaves, and also in temperature regulation. Well, I can say all of them are correct, but let's figure out what I mean to say that. Say if I take a tree here, and these being the leaves through which there is a stomatal pores, and as you know, these are vascular bundles, xylem here, and if I take these as the roots, let's say if I take these are the roots. So what happens, as you know that the water is getting evaporated from this portion, from the stomatal pores, from this here, water as it get evaporated, a suction pull is created, right? A suction pull created that pulls the water from the ground to the soil, from the soil to the aerial part of the plant. So that's one process, and this is also correct reason, as I told you that evaporation causes cooling, right? Evaporation causes cooling, and that's the reason the evaporation takes place. If you are under a tree during summer, you'll be able to experience that you find cooler under the shade of the tree. That's because evaporation keeps on taking place, and it is a mechanism by which the plants can keep itself cool even during hot season. The next question from the chapter electricity, we are given a VI graph. Yeah, can see, and we have two slopes A and B here. And if both, what it says, if we connect both the wires one by one to the same battery, that is same source, same potential difference, it means which of the following will produce more heat per unit? Well, what you should know, can see from here, the first thing that you should figure out from here, that the graph slope of this graph A is more than B, and this is a VI graph, right? It's not IV graph, VI graph. So you can see that A has a greater resistance. The resistance of A is greater than resistance of B. And what we know that resistance is directly proportional to heat. That means or conversely we can say heat is directly proportional. Using Ohm's law, what you know, H is equal to I square RT. From here, say heat is directly proportional to the resistance. So higher the resistance, greater the heat will be produced. So they are just asking for heat produced per unit time per second. So Moreover, you can also see that they are connected with the same source. Anyway, we'll not explore it further. This much is sufficient. That is, option A is correct with a valid supporting reason also. The next question is from the chapter electricity. Says, what is the maximum resistance which can be made using five registers of 1 over 5 ohm? So what we know that in case of series, the resistance is what? Like this. That means the total or equivalent resistance, or there are many terms, equivalent resistance, total resistance, right, is calculated like this. And in case of the parallel, the resistance is calculated using this formula. Now, what you know that in series, the total resistance increases. The total resistance or equivalent resistance is higher than the individual resistance. And this is what they are talking about, the maximum resistance. So it will be produced by connecting all the resistors in parallel. That means considering this R1, R2, and R3. So R1 is what? Like say R1 is 1 by 5. Same is R2. R2 is 1 by 5. So if I keep on adding, that is 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5. That is 5 times 1 by 5, and that comes out to be 1 ohm. So where is the option? Yeah, D is the correct option in this case. The next question from the chapter control and coordination. The question says involuntary actions are in the body is controlled by. So what we know, involuntary actions are those actions which is not under our control. So we know that involuntary actions are controlled. All options are medulla, and all of them, right? Involuntary actions. Okay, okay, right. So they are saying that medulla, right? So medulla is correct, but then medulla is not a part of forebrain, right? Medulla is not a part of forebrain. That's forebrain is a part of what? What's the question? Sorry, medulla. They are saying is a part of the forebrain, which is not correct. Just understand till here. What we know that medulla is a part that's present in our hindbrain. So therefore, we'll say that this is the correct answer. Why did why discarded the other options? Let's see. It says medulla is in the midbrain. Medulla is not in the midbrain. It is in the hindbrain. And medulla clearly is a part of the brain, so it cannot be present in the spinal cord. So the correct answer, as you can see, medulla in the hindbrain. The next question is from the chapter magnetic effect of electric current. So what does it say? It says the strength of magnetic field around a straight current carrying conductor. Well, it is, as you can see, it is shown by like concentric circles. So the diagram should be like this. These are the magnetic field produced around a current carrying conductor, right? These kind of circular concentric circles are there. Now, what are the options I can figure out? They are talking about the strength of this current magnetic field produced, right? Once again, the strength of magnetic field. So what we know that the strength of magnetic field in a current carrying straight carrying conductor. So this magnetic field is directly proportional to the current flowing through it, and it is inversely proportional to the distance. What is important to remember that as you increase the current in this conductor, the magnetic field will increase. Further, as you go away from this conductor, right? As you go away from this conductor, it's a very obvious thing that magnetic strength will decrease. But let me tell you, these two characteristics common for whether it's a straight current carrying conductor or solenoid, right? Or a bar mag, no, sorry, a solenoid or a whether it's a straight current carrying conductor or a loop or a solenoid. These two things are very is common, that it is directly proportional to the current flowing through it and inversely proportional to the distance. So we can choose the option here. The B seems to be correct here. Directly proportional to the current and inversely proportional to the distance. The next question from the chemical reactions and equation. It says in a double displacement reaction between aqueous solution of potassium iodide and lead nitrate, a yellow precipitate of lead iodide is formed. Okay, So what we know that the double displacement reaction, right, between the potassium iodide Ki plus lead nitrate, that is PbNO3 whole twice, and what we get, lead iodide lead iodide, I said PbI2, and potassium nitrate KNO3. Well, you know that all compounds of potassium are soluble in water, so the yellow precipitate is because of this um, lead iodide. The yellow precipitate is because of this lead iodide. Now, the question here is something else. What they are asking, they say that while performing this activity, lead nitrate, that is, this is not available, then which of the following compound can replace the lead nitrate? Obviously, has to be a compound of lead. But as you can see, lead sulfate should be discarded because it is insoluble in water, right? We you should remember that in a double displacement, a precipitation reaction like this is aqueous and this is also aqueous. This is aqueous and this is precipitate. That is a PPT, or you can write S here. So obviously, if you're taking the reactant as one of the insoluble precipitate, that this is not a double displacement reaction, right? So has to be the other option, that is lead iodide. That is option B is correct. The next question is, which of the following statement is true for acids? So acids, the first option, it is bitter. No, base is bitter in taste, right? Acid is sour in taste. So sour in taste is correct. Changes red litmus to blue. Again, it is wrong, right? It changes blue litmus to red. So it, once again, the C option, it is sour. Acids are sour in taste and changes blue litmus to red. Yes, this is the correct option. Bases are bitter in taste and they turn red litmus blue. The next question from the chapter Carbons Compound, it says, which of the following is a correct representation of electron dot structure of nitrogen? So what we know about nitrogen, nitrogen has atomic number as 7. So configuration is what? 2, 5. That means it has 5 electrons in the outermost shell and it needs 3 more. So what nitrogen does, it keeps 3 electrons in, say, to be shared and 3 with itself. Another nitrogen, same thing, 3 electrons over here to be shared and 3 over here. Now we can figure out that this way it will have 8 electrons and this has 8. So you can see from here that these are the shared pair of electrons. Well, I can see this is not correct. Yeah, this is correct. Right. As you can see, the structures that I have made is similar. So now you can see this nitrogen has 8 electrons. This nitrogen also have 8 electrons, and therefore they form a triple covalent bond, right? One pair of electrons represent one bond. So it forms a triple covalent bond, and we know it as a nitrogen gas. Next question from the assertion reason. Let's see. It says change in color of copper from reddish brown to black is an example of reduction. That means we need to write out a reaction. We know that copper, which is reddish brown, when it is heated strongly in the presence of oxygen, it turns into copper oxide. And what you should know that the color of copper, this is copper, right, is reddish brown and it turns black, right? And what you can see here, this process is oxidation. Right. So you're saying the copper from reddish brown is turning black is an example of reduction. Clearly not. This is an oxidation. As you can see, oxygen is being added over here. Now, if I see the reason, it's a reason hydrogen is removed. There is no hydrogen. There is no hydrogen here, right? So we can figure out that here both are incorrect and there is an option I can see. Both assertion and reason are false. Well, let's explore it further. What we know, the reverse reaction of this also, when copper oxide, when hydrogen gas is passed in a heated copper oxide, right? In a hot copper oxide along with the heat, then a reverse reaction takes place. So what you should know here that this black coating of copper oxide will be slowly removed and copper, reddish brown copper will be obtained. Well, from here you can see this is a reduction because oxygen is being removed. So this is reduction and this is oxidation. The next question says the sex of the children will be determined by the chromosome received from the father. That is, the gender of the child is determined by the father. And then what it says, the human male has a one X and one Y chromosome. So what you should know that a human being has 23 pair of chromosome, out of which 22 are identical in both male and female, that is mother and father, you can say here. But 23rd pair is different, right? As I said, 22 pairs are same. The 23rd pair is different in male, right? It's can be confusion between father and, so let's write father. So father has XY chromosomes and the mother has XX chromosome. So whenever there is a crossing over takes place, what are the possible option? First with first, first with second, second with first, and second with second. I should write it. So first is, I should begin with here. So this is first with first is what? XX. First with second is XX. This is XY and this is XY and this is XY again. So what you can see that this is right when XX is there, right? This is the child born is a female, and when it is XY, we say the child born is a male. So what you can figure out from here that the mother has no role in determining the sex of the child. The sex of the child or the gender of the child is ultimately determined by the father. If the father pass on the X chromosomes, the child born will be a girl, and if the father pass on the Y chromosome, Y alleles, right, then it will be a boy. That's why we say. So this is correct, and you can see that the reason here is the correct explanation. The next question from assertion reasoning says egestion in amoeba takes place through the permanent membrane present in them. Egestion. Well, egestion is what removal of undigested waste, and we know that pseudopodia, right? We know about pseudopodia, and this is not permanent, right? It keeps on changing its shape. So this is wrong, right? Cilia is absent in amoeba. Well, cilia is not there, right? Once again, I'll read it. So it says egestion is in amoeba takes place through a permanent member present in them. So in amoeba, there is no fixed shape, and there is no fixed place where from the egestion takes place. Whenever considerable amount of undigested food is there, it is collected and is removed through the membrane. All right. And the next is cilia is absent. Cilia is what? The hair-like projection, and that is present in paramecium, right? That's present in paramecium. This hair-like structure, right? This is paramecium. Huh? So cilia is present over here. So cilia is absent in amoeba. Clearly, it is absent. So A is false. B is reason is true. So okay, assertion is true and the reason no, assertion is false. Right. I think there's some problem with this. Cilia is absent in amoeba. Cilia obviously is not there. Cilia is present in paramecium. Right. So I think there may be some problem with the printing error. As of now, I can say that the assertion is true. Assertion is false and the reason is true. The statement of the reason is true, right? Cilia is absent in amoeba. The next question says in the assertion, it says that assertion says force experienced by a moving charge will be maximum if the direction of the velocity of charge is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Yeah, so moving charge is what? This is important to remember that moving charge signifies current, right? We know that what is current here? Current is moving charge. So that means the moving charge, if you replace this word moving charge with current, we know that when the current, according to the Fleming's left hand rule, right? So the if the force, let's say this is one current, and let's say this being the magnetic field, right? This is current, which is I here, and this is magnetic field. What you know that the force experienced will be maximum when these two are mutually perpendicular. Let's say this being the force here. So the force produced will be maximum. This is the maximum. As you can see, this is mutually perpendicular. Will be maximum as there is an angle of 90 degree with the magnetic field and current. Well, this is correct. Now, if I say that the force on a moving charge is independent of the direction of magnetic field. No, this is wrong, right? Because we just discussed that it depends. Let me once again tell you one more thing I can explain from here. Yeah, here it is. You know that this is the maximum force. As the angle is decreasing between the current and the magnetic field, the force decreases, and the force becomes zero when they are become this or maybe this. Again, the force will be maximum, right? As you can see, it's a 90 degree at this point. So force decreases, 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 becomes zero, increases, 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 become maximum, decreases, decreases, zero, and then increases, increases. Sorry, yeah, over here. Yeah. So as long as it is 90 degree, again, it is maximum this way.